Hello everyone, Rising here, and this is part 3 and probably the last part of my series on RWBY's visual evolution, the use of colors in environments, and the composite process. For character models, environments, lighting, and effects, check out part 1, and part 2 is 2D assets. Eventually I will make a discussion video on all of the different kinds of evolutions RWBY has been through. That includes fight, choreography, and animation as well. Links are in the description to all these videos, so moving forward, I will give a quick run through of all the volumes and show what I mean through color palettes and the like. For the color trailers and Volume 1, RWBY's look was contingent upon its use of color. Monty loved the color palette for red, white, and black. Yes, yellow was added because the show has a rule of 4s, but Monty loved red, black, and white the most specifically. The rule of 4s being 4 kingdoms, 4 academies, 4 relics, 4 main types of dust, 4 members in one team, 4 colors. The show had a 2D art style in a 3D space back then, and the biggest contributor to that was the lack of really any lighting system in most scenes, so solid colors were everywhere in the environment. All of these together, besides the fight choreography, were really why RWBY was such an endearing show in its conception, when it didn't really have much of anything else to show for itself. And side note, before we move forward, if you want to learn more about the show's color direction early on, check out Mr. Blackjack's video on it. There's a link in the description. That's helped me out immensely. For Volume 2, as I said in my main video, one of its biggest production pipeline changes was its lighting system, and because of this, it's not that the show became less colorful, it's more that there were gradients and textures and daylight that looks more like daylight, and you could say it's also darker as well. Yet Volume 2's environments were also still rather plain and mostly updated from the look of Volume 1 rather than establishing any new look like we have in Volume 4. I mean, you remember Mountain Glen? It would look so different now. For the most part, Volume 1 had a lot of disparate colors in it, but in Volume 2, even if there are fewer colors in the environment or they're darker, they're definitely working together better, and they're allowing for characters' colors to pop. How colorful you think Volume 2 is largely depends on how you respond to its environments. When you see the darker sets, does that mean it's less colorful to you? Or do the complementary colors in them help to balance the environment with the super colorful characters? Volume 3 is still colorful, and it's still the poser years of the show, but with so many new sets and a lot more diverse lighting conditions, plus the fact that the story expanded so much with the tournament and the lore, and not as much of the show is contingent in its appeal on color direction anymore. And this is not to say that they stopped thinking about it, though. I mean, of course, the maiden story is super colorful as a fairy tale itself. And while Volume 3's production value was much higher from its predecessor, I can't say too much of its color values or the way that it employed color was all that much different. You still have a lot of complementary colors in the background, and it's darker than Volume 1, so I mean, let's just move on here. Volume 4, of course, the switch from poser to Maya, Volume 4 became a proof of concept, much like the color trailers were. The production team said, okay, we like these systems, so we're going forward with this. It's the Maya years in their most basic form. And that's very true of the colors. The color direction in each scene does really shine. So this night shot is turned blue because sad, and the morning shots are lovely. And when things get dreary, the sky is gray. So color is at the forefront. Volume 5. Strayed a lot from Volume 4, and Volume 6 would kind of revert a lot of it, but let's still talk about it. A lot of Volume 5's scenes, and I mean a lot, are lit with a yellow or an orange or amber main lights, even indoors under what would seem like it should or would be a neutral lighting condition, something that's white, right? Though each scene does more or less have a color palette to it, even if the amber tinted light drains from it. Yet, the Vault is really clear proof that they can make scenes with the right kind of colorful for the brand of those early years. To an extent, the Menagerie Promenade did this too. Volume 6, as I said, reverted a lot of the changes to Volume 5, right? Like the scene in the Mistral House is lit whiter and brighter than any scene before. And the color direction in this volume really goes for a storybook feel in the flashbacks. So for the Grim Reaper flashback, the fog adds a gradient to the scene. Every character, thus, is super colorful since the environment is just that grayscale gradient. And, well, everything about The Lost Fable is super colorful and super purposeful with the way that it uses color. Part of me thinks that the fandom wants the color direction of The Lost Fable to be just how the entire show looks. To an extent, that's how it was in the Haven Vault, right? The Lost Fable had a very minimal standard colors to its scenes. And here's the thing. If you directly compare the Land of Darkness to the rest of the show, with how it is in The Lost Fable, you see red is one of the location standard colors, but it is nowhere in the environment in the flashback. And then for the Lovers Rekindling, the shot gets redder on Salem and yellower on Ozma. All of that did wonders for a storybook feel. And all of that color direction extends to Argus, to the Kata Arc home, to the clearing Cinder and Neo go to. Yes, in the Kata Arc home, there's the reds and beiges doing all of the color weight of the shots that are in there, but the crew took the married couple's color schemes and made those the flowers outside. So in Volume 6, again, color is at the forefront. Like, they're making very purposeful decisions on color. Volume 6 did a lot of justice to what the minimalistic environments of Volume 1 were going for. The storybook feel is really everywhere, if you ask me. No, I didn't talk about character color inspirations or how colorful or not characters are or their outfits are, because I'm not entirely sure how to approach that subject. I'll certainly touch more on it in my discussion video whenever that's coming out, because let's face it, Volume 7 is going to set back a lot of my projects. For now, my next video in this series is going to be the evolution of RWBY's animation, which does not include its fight choreography, but I'll get to that too at some point. I'm Rising, and until next time, have a good one.